The meeting was supposed to be completely confidential, just another quiet dinner in an Auckland restaurant that nobody would think twice about. But when photos surfaced showing Reece Walsh sitting across from New Zealand Rugby officials and All Blacks coaching staff, the rugby league world went into absolute meltdown. And now whispers of a $10 million deal that would see Queensland's Golden Boy switch codes right in the middle of Origin season have the Brisbane Broncos in crisis mode. And fans demanding answers about the biggest player poaching scandal since Sonny Bill Williams walked out mid-season. Before we dive into this absolutely earth-shattering story that could change Australian sport forever, quick favour. If you're loving the content on Unpopular Aussie Opinions, smash that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs nothing, but means the world to us. Did you hit it? Legend. Thanks so much. Now back to the main event. Reece Walsh is on the verge of signing a massive $10 million deal with New Zealand Rugby that would see him abandon rugby league and switch to the All Blacks, and the secret meeting that was captured by paparazzi in Auckland has sent shockwaves through the NRL and left the Brisbane Broncos scrambling to figure out how they're about to lose their superstar fullback to rugby union. Picture this. One of the most exciting players in rugby league, a bloke who's been lighting up the NRL with his incredible skill and flair, sitting down with All Blacks officials to discuss a deal that would make him one of the highest paid rugby players in the world and give New Zealand Rugby a marketing goldmine. We're talking about a contract that dwarfs anything the Broncos or any NRL club could possibly offer, a move that would happen right in the middle of State of Origin when Walsh is supposed to be focused on representing Queensland, and a poaching operation so bold and brazen that it's got rugby league officials absolutely fuming. Stick around, because what we're about to unpack reveals just how vulnerable rugby league is to losing its biggest stars, and trust me, this story has twists and turns that nobody saw coming. Now, to understand why this potential move is so shocking and so devastating for rugby league, you need to understand what Reece Walsh represents to the sport. This isn't just another talented player switching codes for money. Walsh is 22 years old, already a State of Origin player, and widely regarded as one of the most exciting talents in rugby league. He's the kind of player who sells tickets, who gets fans excited, who creates highlight reel moments that go viral on social media. The Broncos have built a significant part of their attacking game plan around Walsh's ability to create opportunities from fullback, and Queensland sees him as a crucial part of their Origin future for the next decade. Losing Walsh to rugby union wouldn't just hurt the Broncos or Queensland. It would be a body blow to rugby league's credibility and its ability to retain young talent in the face of big money offers from rival codes. The alleged $10 million deal that New Zealand Rugby has put on the table is absolutely staggering, and it represents the kind of money that simply doesn't exist in rugby league's salary cap system. Even the highest paid NRL players are earning around $1 to $1.5 million per season, and clubs are constantly juggling their salary caps trying to fit quality players under the restrictions. But rugby union doesn't have the same salary cap limitations, particularly when it comes to national unions signing players for international duty. New Zealand Rugby can afford to throw massive money at a talent like Walsh because they see the marketing potential, the jersey sales, the increased viewership, and the possibility of developing him into a world-class rugby union player who could dominate at the international level for years to come. The fact that they're willing to offer $10 million over what's believed to be a 4-year deal shows just how serious they are about securing Walsh's signature. The secret meeting in Auckland that sparked this entire firestorm was allegedly organised with extreme discretion, but as we've learned time and time again, nothing stays secret in the age of smartphones and social media. According to reports, Walsh flew to New Zealand during a brief break in the NRL season, officially visiting family but actually meeting with New Zealand Rugby officials at an upscale Auckland restaurant. The photos that emerged show Walsh in what appears to be serious conversation with individuals who've been identified as senior figures within New Zealand Rugby and members of the All Blacks coaching staff. The body language in the photos suggests this wasn't just a casual catch-up, this was a business meeting, and the timing, right in the middle of Walsh's Origin commitments with Queensland, makes it even more controversial and frankly disrespectful to rugby league. Brisbane Broncos officials are reportedly absolutely livid that this meeting took place without their knowledge or consent. Walsh is currently under contract with the Broncos, and while players are technically allowed to explore future opportunities and speak with other organisations, there's an expectation that they'll be upfront and honest with their current club about what they're doing. The fact that Walsh apparently flew to New Zealand for secret negotiations with rugby union officials, while still contracted to the Broncos, and while actively preparing for State of Origin represents a serious breach of trust. The club is now scrambling to figure out their options, whether they can legally prevent Walsh from leaving, whether they can convince him to stay by offering more money within the constraints of the salary cap, or whether they need to start planning for life after Walsh and identifying potential replacements. Queensland Rugby League and the State of Origin selectors are in an equally difficult position. Walsh is supposed to be focused entirely on preparing for upcoming Origin matches, training with his Queensland teammates, and doing everything possible to help the Maroons defeat New South Wales. But how focused can he possibly be when he's simultaneously negotiating a massive deal with New Zealand Rugby that would see him switch codes? The timing of these negotiations, right in the middle of Origin season, shows either incredible arrogance or complete lack of respect for the representative game. Queensland officials are now questioning whether Walsh's head is really in the right space for Origin, whether they can trust him to give 100% when he's clearly thinking about his future in a different sport, and whether they should even select him for upcoming matches given the distraction this scandal has created. Social media has been absolutely ruthless in its reaction to news of Walsh's potential code switch. Rugby league purists are absolutely furious, viewing this as yet another example of rugby union poaching league's best talent with money that the NRL simply can't match. The comment sections across every platform are filled with angry fans expressing betrayal, suggesting that Walsh has sold out rugby league for a payday, and questioning his loyalty to the sport that developed him and gave him the platform to become a star. On the flip side, there are plenty of people arguing that Walsh would be foolish to turn down $10 million, that professional athletes have short careers and need to maximize their earnings while they can, and that nobody should blame him for taking the best financial offer available. The debate has been fierce and has exposed long-standing tensions between rugby league and rugby union fans about player movement and code superiority. What makes this potential move particularly interesting from a sporting perspective is the question of whether Walsh's skills would actually translate to rugby union. Rugby league and rugby union are related but fundamentally different sports with different rules, different tactics, and different physical demands. Walsh's greatest strengths in rugby league are his speed, his elusiveness, his support play, and his ability to create opportunities in broken field situations. Many of those skills would translate well to rugby union, particularly if he was developed as a fullback or wing, positions that value similar attributes. However, rugby union also requires different skill sets, particularly around set-piece play, tactical kicking, and defensive structures that are more complex than rugby league. There's no guarantee that Walsh would succeed at the international level in rugby union, and history is littered with rugby league stars who switched codes and struggled to make the same impact. The All Blacks' interest in Walsh makes strategic sense from their perspective beyond just the marketing appeal. New Zealand Rugby has been looking to inject young, exciting talent into their program, and Walsh fits the profile perfectly. He's got Maori heritage through his mother, which gives him cultural connections to New Zealand that could be played up for marketing purposes. He's young enough to be moulded into the All Blacks playing style rather than being set in his ways. And frankly, stealing a high-profile player from Australian Rugby League while he's in the middle of representing Queensland in State of Origin would be a massive coup that would generate enormous publicity and make a statement about rugby union's ability to attract top talent from rival codes. The financial comparison between what Walsh earns in rugby league versus what he could earn in rugby union is stark and helps explain why this move is even being considered. Walsh's current contract with the Broncos is reportedly worth around $600,000 per season, which is decent money but nowhere near the top tier of NRL salaries. Even if the Broncos were willing to upgrade him to their maximum salary cap allowance, they'd be looking at maybe $1 million per season at the absolute most. Compare that to the reported $10 million over 4 years that New Zealand Rugby is offering, which works out to $2.5 million per season, and the financial incentive becomes crystal clear. That kind of money would set Walsh up for life, allow him to provide for his family, and give him financial security that rugby league simply cannot match under its current salary cap structure. The NRL now finds itself facing a potential crisis that extends well beyond just Reece Walsh. If this deal goes through, if Walsh actually switches codes for the kind of money being reported, it's going to make every young rugby league star start thinking about whether they should consider rugby union offers. The salary cap was implemented to create competitive balance in rugby league, but one of its unintended consequences is making NRL players vulnerable to being poached by rugby union or other sports that don't have the same financial restrictions. If the NRL can't find ways to retain its biggest stars, if players keep leaving for bigger money in other codes, the competition is going to struggle to maintain the quality and marketability that makes it successful. This isn't just about one player, it's about the long-term viability of rugby league as a sport that can compete with rugby union for talent. So here we are, watching in real time as Reece Walsh reportedly negotiates a $10 million deal with New Zealand Rugby that would see him abandon the Brisbane Broncos and Rugby League right in the middle of Origin season. The secret meeting in Auckland has been exposed, the rugby league world is in crisis mode, and the biggest talent poaching scandal in years is playing out for everyone to see. Whether this deal actually goes through or whether Walsh decides to stay loyal to rugby league remains to be seen, but the damage has already been done, trust has been broken, and the NRL has been reminded yet again just how vulnerable it is to losing its stars to codes that can offer money the salary cap will never allow.